And we are back. Divide Live, Fox Sports, The Gambler. Don't forget to check us out on our socials. You got Divide Live on Instagram, Divide Live on Twitter, Facebook. We're joined with Stuff About Sports' very own Jerm. So make sure you check out their Instagram and Facebook, Stuff About Sports. Check out the YouTube pages. You got the Give Us a Shot YouTube Live, which we're currently on right now, as well as the Fox Sports, The Gambler YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us on all those social medias. That was even a sentence. All the social medias. Jerm, I want all the social media.
All of them. Every single one of them.
All of them. Let's take it down to the rundown. Only a few topics, but man, we're going to get in deep on a few of them, dude. And we're going to cover, first thing we're going to cover is parenting here, Jerm. All right.
Oh, yes.
There's a Georgia restaurant that has started to impose a $50 surcharge for noisy families. $50 surcharge, not just noisy families, but specifically noisy kids. What happens is in Toccoa Riverside restaurant in Georgia has added this $50 fee for any parent that cannot keep their kid under control. To give an example, these are kids that are running around, kind of making a bad eating experience for the rest of the patrons there. You've been a parent longer than I've been a parent. And I feel like we're very similar in the ways that we parent. Have you ever let your kids run around a restaurant acting like a fool?
Negative. That is ridiculous. And I've long believed that there's no such thing as bad kids, just bad parents. And so, good. Give it to the parents. Stick them with the $50 tab. Control your kids. You know, a lot of these parents out here have these untrained kids out here running around the restaurant, touching things, just grabbing things, do it just loose, not even caring. This is amazing. This is what America is about. Hey, we're going to check you because you can't check yourself. And if you want to come eat here at my establishment and my house, there's rules. And if you can't follow the rules, 50 smackers. I don't know who's on the $50 bill, but that's what you're going to have to pay if you come in here untrained.
I think it's Grant. I think Grant is on the 50.
Yes, it is.
Damn, I think it's the only president. The only presidents I know are the ones that are on money, buddy. That's about it. That's as deep as I get. I'm a fan of this, man, and it's not to say that one day my kid will just be running around and I'll just be like, whatever, man, worth the $50. I don't care, just whatever. But I just think, dude, parents when they're out need to parent. I'm interested to see like how people take it if they get smacked with this. Like, do they just kind of submit and pay it? Or do they start this big argument? I mean, I don't know what happens in that process, but man, I've worked in the industry. I've worked in restaurants, and there's some parents that just they're out and they let everybody else watch their kids, and that is annoying, man. That needs to cost money. And Mike and I reported a few weeks back on the whole puking fee out at Bottomless Mimosas or Bottomless Brunch, whatever they called it. I hope this $50 surcharge, I hope they put it in the pocket of whatever waiter or waitress is helping that table with that annoying family that's just too loud. I hope it goes right to them and in their pocket. I really don't hope the restaurant doesn't get it, man, because those workers deserve every little bit for dealing with people like that, dude. It's awful. Can't stand it.
100%. And I not only do I fully support this, I fully support expanding, right? Bringing kids to movie theaters on at least there has to be a time. Like, don't go during, bring them to the matinee. You can only bring them during the daytime where nobody's in it.
Kid movies, Lego movies, you know, like whatever else are kid movies other than the Lego movies. Just, I don't want to.
Why am I at 10 o'clock at night watching Saw 5, listening to your baby cry on a Thursday? I don't understand it. Like, take your kid home and watch the bootlegs like the rest of us have to when we had kids. It's just like part of me just in my head, I would never bring my infant to a movie not a kid's movie, or at least, how back in the day, I know this is how we're going to date ourselves here. Remember how they used to have like the smoking section? They have to have like the kids section of movies. Like, hey, this is a kid friend, like not friendly, but kid zone movie. Like, if you don't have kids with you, you can go in this movie. You don't have to worry about any kids crying. But if you have kids, we're going to have to segregate you to the left wing where all the other screaming kids are. And I'd be down with that too.
Dude, I'm telling you, I'd be like, the kids section's over there. Go right through those doors, and those doors would lead right back out to the parking lot, bro. You got the kid. You're not staying in the movie theater. It's not happening.
Yeah.
100%. You said Saw, man. I know Halloween just passed. It was Halloween week. Are you a fan of the scary movies, Jerm?
Not really. It's not. I do enjoy them, but it's not one of the genres that I run to. Like if it's good, it can't be gory. I'll say it has to be. I'm more of a psychological horror guy. Like Saw is good to me because there's like a deeper thing about it. But yeah, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, things like that. I'm not really into. The classics, Jason and Michael Myers, I guess, because I grew up with it. I don't know if a movie like that came out now, I would be into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm more of a psychological guy.
I feel like it's like the cool thing now to be into like these like horror. You know what I mean? I feel like once October hits, more and more people are just like, oh, I gotta watch this scary movie and that. I gotta rewatch. Like it's almost like when people rewatch Christmas movies over and over. It's just
Oh
like
yeah,
they just. I'm like, do you have to? They're all the
no,
same. I mean, I guess
they are.
Christmas movies are too, but
Yeah.
still, it's just.
That's
I
why I
don't
like the
know.
psychological. They're a little different. I guess it just depends. I'm into like the not the exorcism movies, but like the haunted stuff when it's like based
Yeah.
in some type of true story. But I like stuff like that. But like I'm not a fan of just a guy running around senselessly murdering people in the most creative ways, like just throwing somebody on a meat hook for no reason just because they're 19 years old.
All right, let's move on here. Florida is in the news again, as Florida always is, but in this
Uh-huh.
time, it's about a Florida man competition. Now, Germ, you and I both know that with this state, anything is possible. Any news that comes out of Florida is believable. There's no sense in even trying to figure out who, why, what, where, or when. But on February 24th, 2024, there will be a Florida man competition hosted in, where is it? Is it St. Pete's?
Sounds like a Florida man
St.
competition.
Augustine.
There you
St.
go.
Augustine, 2/24/24. Activities or competitions include a weaponized pool noodle mud duel. Contestants will wear goggles designed to stimulate drunkenness. So they're going to wear drunk goggles and fight with pool noodles, is what it sounds like, in the mud. You have beer belly Florida man sumo, where if your stomach is your only weapon and you just kind of sumo with just a bunch of beer bellies. Uh, an evading arrest obstacle course where you'll be chased by real actual cops, which that's not as impressive to me.
No,
That's not now actual cops aren't that quick. That's
no,
why you usually get tased or something before something else happens.
right.
Maybe some cadets, maybe people that are trying to be cops that are still physically fit, but that's not that impressive. A self-explanatory mullet contest, and it'll also feature two former members of the American Gladiator cast as judges, Nitro and Ice. So you can sign up right on whatever website this is for. I don't know what ESPN channel this needs to be on, but it needs to be televised somewhere.
So it's funny you said that because as you were reading all the games, I literally thought to myself, this sounds like Trailer Park American Gladiators.
It
Like,
is.
and it sounds like it's going to be awesome. It's definitely ESPN, the Ocho type stuff. Definitely for the police. It's the rookies or the cadets. That's the only way. No hard grizzled veteran is going to be subjecting themselves to that. That's more of those, hey, rookie, this is what you're doing today.
Mm-hmm.
Ice, Miss Lori Fetrick, still looks good to this day at the ripe old age of 65. So
You
shout out
watched
to
that
her.
documentary, right?
I sure did.
Oh,
Sure did. Great.
fantastic.
Love it. Yeah, I don't know if the problem with this to me is they need to rename it because the Florida man meme or name has a lot of negative connotation to it. So, and this sounds fun. It sounds real fun. And it doesn't, it's not alligator wrestling zigzag, or alligator cockfighting, whatever they're doing down there. Change the name. I get Florida man's probably marketable, which is probably why they used it. And it gets people kind of talking about it. But this sounds like a fun event that if you want to be sustainable, you probably want to get away from the Florida man thing because didn't that start because the guy was like eating like a person on a bridge or something like that? And
Yeah, that was that guy that was all high on bath salts and
they
whatnot and started eating people's faces and all that.
because you
You
don't want
know,
people to Google, the regular stuff in Florida. You don't want to Google Florida man contest and then see like the guy who microwaved his baby. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to see that. So change the name because Florida needs a W. It's already you can't even fill the arenas at your sporting events. This is probably the one sport in Florida that can probably garner some real national attention. So yeah, to change the name, but I do like it. It's at least Florida's trying to do something positive.
I tell you, man, it sounds like Trailer Park Olympics might be a home run. I think that's probably the perfect. Someone will get offended, but who cares? I mean, you heard what the games are like. It doesn't matter. Let's go on. The Elvis Duran show, iHeart's own Elvis Duran show, just did a report. Professions most likely to cheat at work. And then there's also professions where you're least likely to cheat at work. Now, this is cheating with other coworkers. I don't know where they got this list from, dude. I'm going to read it off to you. I got to see if you agree or disagree. I strongly disagree with this, and you're going to see why in a minute. But it seems something doesn't seem right. So your profession's most likely to cheat at work. And this is cheating with someone you work with, from your significant other, so to speak. Okay. Number 1 is sales. Number 2 are teachers. 3, healthcare. 4, and some sort of transporting business. And 5, hospitality. Those are most likely to cheat at work. I can see sales. Teachers, though, I feel like
I can see every one of them. I can see every one of them but sales. Like in sales, you should be busy selling. You don't have time to be busy selling, but like I don't know what are you doing? But teachers, hospitality, what were the other 2?
Transporting, whether that's
bus drivers, like public works, bus drivers, things like that. Okay.
And then hospitality, of course, hospitality I can see. I mean, that's literally their job is hospitality. I can see sales more so in a sense of your sales team. I always think about like the pharmaceutical end. There's this whole documentary I watched strictly dealing with pharmaceutical sales and how they would hire young, good-looking people to pretty much meet with these doctors to try to push their prescription brand. And they would even say and coach them to, if they had to, sleep with someone to, kind of boost their ratings a little bit here. It's weird. And I guess, let me give you the least likely to, because maybe that'll make more sense. And there's only one on there that I really would turn around like, what? So you have science and pharmaceuticals is least likely to, and that makes sense. These are guys in labs or guys and girls in labs trying to cure cancer. I don't know. You have business consulting. Number 3 is law enforcement. Now, I don't technically firefighting doesn't fall under. Is that a branch of law enforcement?
No. So
you're free from it, but I just think I feel like at least up here in the Northeast, that's all I hear about. All I hear about is someone in law enforcement cheating with so-and-so. Who knows? And then you have creative arts and design, media and internet. You have law and legal. So I guess these are lawyers, but come on. I mean, you mean to tell me that law enforcement's on the least when it should be? Well, hold on. Because this is most likely to cheat with a coworker.
So
the majority
there you go.
Of law enforcement are males. There it is.
Right. There it is.
We talked it out. I talked it out. It worked.
And so a lot of law enforcement agencies, especially the big city ones, have like strict adultery, so I'm sure a lot of guys and females don't want to kind of deal with that because it literally will ruin your career and make you unhireable anywhere. So that could be that. I still don't buy it because just being a firefighter, being around law enforcement, I'm with you. I not see it, but I hear a lot of stories. But that bottom 5 makes a lot of sense outside of law enforcement. The rest of those guys are nerds. Now, for the top 5. Now, you brought up, sales with clients, but until you clarified coworkers, then sales would make sense. But the rest of those all have jobs where they work in close quarters with each other with access to do those things, right? Teachers have empty classrooms, hospitality, obviously in the hotel rooms. These other places have transportation, buses, trains, whatever, stewardesses, they fly all over the country, right? And they're stuck in other cities for days at a time. And so, like, matter of fact, I heard when you're a new steward or stewardess, they put you usually the airline, specifically the pilots, basically buy a house in the main city that they're in, and they all live there because they have to do like a 1-year apprenticeship before you can choose what airport you are home based at.
Really?
Yes.
Where's that reality show? Because I would watch that.
That would be sick. So I had a friend who was explaining this to me and said, yeah, like it's like, but nobody's ever home because they're always flying. But so instead of paying for an apartment that they're not going to be in, they basically pay like a one-time thing to the pilot who owns this big house, and they all live there, and it just rotates in and out. And it's just, they all have a room there and they live there until their year is up. And then they can go back home if you live in Philly, but for some reason, because the airline will send you where they need you, right? Hey, we need steward and stewardesses out in St. Louis. Right. So now that instead of buying an apartment in St. Louis, you're barely going to be in, you live in the steward house, and that's how that works. But anyway, so that is something, and I'm assuming it's co-ed. I didn't get that deep into the weeds with it, but there's both, right? So or whatever your preference is, but either way, there's access, and then just all these other things. But yeah, law enforcement is tricky because a lot of I just hear a lot of it, but I do understand, like, with the military, law enforcement, my job, we have a strict, like, adultery is against the town policy. Now if you're like Barney Fife and you're out in the backwoods somewhere, law enforcement, I guess the rules are a little less strict. But if you're in Philadelphia or New York City, NYPD, I'm sure it's really strict in terms of dealing with that type of stuff. So yeah, that is shocking to see law enforcement on there. But the other ones, no, those guys are nerds. They're worried about curing cancer, all the important stuff. They were too busy in school to worry about things of that nature.
Oh my God, dude, you hit it on the head. Let's jump out of the rundown. Let's just jump right back in. We're loose now. I want to get your opinion. I want to go back to the NFL. I want to talk Deshaun Watson, and then I'm going to talk Deion Sanders before we close it out here. Now, there was a lot of speculation all last week about what's going on with Deshaun Watson. I know Brady Quinn, that dummy, called him out, saying that he's just kind of like a trust fund baby, which is probably the dumbest example you could have used. I have my own opinion. I think if you're getting paid that much money, I understand you don't want to risk your health, but you want to at least show, or at least have a press conference or something, just be verbal, communicate that this is the track you're on to get better for the team. I mean, a lot of the money, guaranteed money, was invested on you. Now, in my opinion, Brady Quinn has no room to talk. He was a bust out of college. All I think about is his stupid protein commercial where he's like, now I'm done, after he chugs a stupid protein thing. And I think he had finished with more interceptions than touchdowns for his career. Why he has an analyst job is completely beyond me. I mean, it's at least Tim Tebow was successful, or more successful in college than Brady Quinn, but he had a little back and forth with Deshaun Watson's trainer. I don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson. I know that publicly it looks as though he's been medically cleared for closer than 2 weeks now, and he's still not playing. Now, it's hard to think that is the case, and Cleveland's paying him so much money to not play.
Yeah.
What's going on in your head about all of this?
Honestly, I think he is not. I think, even though I think he's played well coming back from his suspension and everything he's had to deal with, I don't think anybody's going to tell you he's back to what he was in Houston. And I think the pressure of delivering on that monster contract that he signed with Cleveland is starting to get to him a little bit. And he has a doctor that tells him he has some type of rotator cuff injury. And even though he's good to play, because football is a dangerous sport and you're probably going to be hurt every week that you play outside after week one, he's being cautious. And I think a mixture of him being overly cautious, but also, man, I'm not, like, the fans are starting to turn on me here. We're not winning the way we think. Now, the defense is amazing. I kind of disagree with that assessment. I think the Browns are in a pretty good spot, all things considered. The defense, top 10, maybe top 5 defense. I got to look
absolutely
deeper
top 5 defense.
So
they were God, before the season started, I think they were even 2 or 3.
Yeah. So, and I think that kind of took people by surprise because they were expecting Deshaun Watson to come and save them. So now you have to kind of deal with that if you're him. And now you may be the weak link in this whole situation. So everything kind of turned on its head there. There's definitely some type of weird vibe between the coach, the player, the organization. Obviously, there's Browns fans that support him, but then you have to deal with all the outside noise, which I'm not defending him or not feeling sorry for him in one bit because it's all his fault. But that affects you as a player. It has to affect you in some way. So you have all these little things, compounding on top of each other. And I think it's all just for him coming to a head. And he's just, I don't know if he's something had to have happened behind the scenes that we don't know about with ownership, with his doctors and his agency.
I mean, I think ownership is looking at it like, listen, we're going to have to pay you whether or not you try to slowly get healthy or you go out there and get hurt and can't play the rest of the season. We're going to pay you the same amount of money anyway. So we'd rather have you slowly try to get better, but something needs to be made. I mean, I'm not one of those people that thinks teams owe the fans, us as fans, anything at all. I think we're going to watch you play, regardless on who you put on the field. But I do think something needs to be said publicly just to have an idea of what this organization is doing. Because, if they do go down this spiral and they keep losing, it's not a good look at all. And this is a franchise that has not been good in the last 20 years, if not ever since the expansion. So, who knows, man? Let's jump over real quick before we wrap it up. Deion Sanders is in the news again, calling out the NCAA and the Rose Bowl to reimburse Colorado players after allegedly there was yet again another locker room robbery. Now, this isn't the first time something's been robbed out of a locker room that involved Deion Sanders. First, it was him. Someone personally stole from him. But this past weekend, when they were playing UCLA, at least 5 Colorado players claimed to be victims of robbery. Things like money and jewelry were all taken out of their locker room. Now, Deion Sanders is called out. It's not right, but the NCAA should reimburse these kids. You guys say that you have all this money. This is the Rose Bowl. You have all this money. These kids don't have much. We made the police report. You guys should reimburse them. And honestly, as much as he's criticized, he's not wrong. This is supposed to be a college-sanctioned event. It's supposed to have security. It's supposed to have integrity. And these kids come back after playing a game and their stuff's gone. I mean, what are we even talking about here? This is a drop in the bucket for the NCAA. So what do we think about that?
So I feel Deion Sanders is right. There should at least be an investigation. I don't know if the NCAA should be reimbursing anything stolen, because nobody told you to bring all that jewelry with you. Nobody told you, right? So I understand what he's saying, but it depends largely on whose responsibility the security is of the visiting locker rooms, right? So if that's an NCAA thing, then yeah, sure. Then you get reimbursed, because it shouldn't matter if it's a $250,000 chain or an iPod. Again, aging myself, but you know what I mean? Like anything of a lesser value, something simple, sneakers, clothes, whatever. And so had it been those things, would people be so anti-Deion Sanders with it? I think people would tend to agree that the NCAA should probably pay for it. But nope, it's because it's Colorado and it's Colorado players flashing their chains and their watches that nobody cares, which is messed up. Now, that being said, they probably shouldn't bring that type of stuff with them. And if they did, if it was me and I brought a $250,000 chain and an iced out watch, I'd probably have it pretty secured. If not bring it to the locker room with me, it'd stay in my hotel room. I don't know if I'm bringing it to the game with me, but that's my morality. That's my sensibility. I can't put that on anybody else. So it is a shame. NCAA should investigate it if it comes to find out that kids from the school snuck in there and stole that jewelry. It should not matter that the Colorado players make themselves a target. You can't, we don't blame victims of sex crimes. You don't blame victims of hate crimes. Like, you can't do that. So you can't, and I get people's reaction because they hate on Deion, they hate on his team to kind of blame the kids. But at the end of the day, they had their property stolen, and it's messed up. But I don't know if the NCAA should be paying them back for that stuff, but they should definitely have better security in place to prevent things like this from happening in the future. And maybe Deion, tell Travis Hunter and your sons to, leave the bling at the hotel room or at home.
Tone it down a little bit. Stop flashing so much. Wait till you go pro.
That's why you make yourself a target, and that unfortunately that's what happens. And the only way to kind of mitigate that stuff is to not bring it with you or not flash that stuff. But it is. Well,
Jerm, man, thanks for joining us. I almost said Stuff About Sports, Divide Live. We appreciate you filling in for the parade guy, Mike. Check out Stuff About Sports every week, guys. Jerm usually goes live on Wednesdays, right?
Yep.
Usually live on Wednesdays. Check them out on YouTube. Again, check out their Instagram, Twitter, Stuff About Sports from the Give Us a Shot Network. For the Divide Live, we will see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
know.